Music Theology Lecture 10. We start with music science and time signatures. Thank you for being here. We have a few. We've got a missionary upstairs. We've got people going to pick up people and people sick. I don't know what's going on. But we're going to teach you online, students. We can at least do that. Time signatures and the note relationship. So what's a time signature? Well, I'll show you. See that big 4-4 in the middle of the page? That is one. Rhythm is expressed, stated, and described with a time signature. And defines the note duration and time. So forget all that. You don't need to know that, but that's what it's doing. It's helping you out. So I'll explain that in a minute. You see that there's notes, the quarter notes there. It's a measure. It has a 4-4 at the beginning. We will know 4-4 down cold before you go to sleep tonight. The most common time is 4-4. Yeah, or in a few moments when you go to sleep. Let's figure out what these numbers mean. 4-4 time, there's 3-4 time, there's 6-8, there's 2-2. There's almost any number of combinations.
16.
We deal with about 4 or 5 different ones typically. The bottom numbers, now you got to pay attention to this. Even I know these, but I forget. The bottom number of the 4-4 relates to what note will be our reference note, the standard note. So 4. It's on the bottom though. Think of a fraction on the bottom, like 1/4, 1/4, 4th. This reference note will equal 1 beat. So whatever it is, that will be what 1 beat is. And in this one, it's going to be the quarter note. I'll explain that in a moment. In 4-4 time, the bottom number is a 4. Think of this number as a denominator. It's a fraction. And place a 1 as a numerator. Thus, it becomes 1/4. That's how you figure out what you're dealing with here. If it was an 8 on the bottom, you'd be thinking 1/8, 8th note. 4th note. A 2, half note. That's how you don't get the whole note. And then, well, I'll have to go on from there. Let's go on. So a quarter, so a 4 on the bottom always is going to mean the quarter note gets 1 beat. So you look at the denominator, a bottom number of that. If it's a 4, it's a quarter. It means quarter note gets 1 beat. If it's an 8, it means 8th note gets 1 beat. Okay, if it's 2-2 time, or 3-2 time, the bottom number is like 1/2. It's a half note, so a half note gets 1 beat. And you can say, hey, hold on a second. I just memorized that a half note gets 2 beats. Now you're saying a half note gets 1 beat? Yes. It matters on the time signature. Why they did that, I don't know. But it makes it hard. As far as I know, these are the only denominator numbers dealt with in time signatures. 2, 4, and 8. Hallelujah! Just 2, 4, and 8. That's it. There's 9-8, there's 6-8, there's 5-8, there's 4-8, there's 3-2, 2-2, all these different things, but those are the ones I know of. So that's all you need to know. If it's a 2 on the bottom, it means half note gets 1 beat. If it's a 4 on the bottom, quarter note gets 1 beat. If it's an 8, 8th note gets 1 beat. We're ready to go home. It's great. The bottom number explains to us which note is equal to 1 beat. Just think of it that way. So if it's a 4, quarter note. We just went through those. Next thing. The top number, okay, now we're going to the top number, my little friends, relates to the number of beats per measure. And so for 4-4 time, there will be 4 beats per measure. Top number. 4 beats per measure. In 3-4 time, so it really doesn't look like that, but look at the one way up in the middle of the page. A 3 and a 4. That means there's 3 beats per measure. In 2-4 time, 2 beats per measure. How about this? In 6-8 time, 6 beats per measure. 9-8 time? 9 beats per measure. There you go. So let's look at this. So in 3-4 time, what we got? We got 3 beats per measure. So you got to measure. You just know there's going to be 3 beats in that measure. And then you know on the 4 on the bottom means the quarter note gets 1 beat. That's what you need to know. And then you can muddle through the song. Right, so let's put the bottom number and the top number together. In 4-4 time, we have learned that the denominator 4 refers to the quarter note being equal to 1 beat. And the numerator 4 on top means that there's going to be 4 beats per measure. Look at up top here, that measure you see there. 4-4.
Yeah.
So that quarter note equals 1 beat because of the 4 on the bottom. and there's 4 beats in the measure. It's going to come out okay, don't worry. When they write the song, they make sure it fits right. Because this thing, if you had 5 quarter notes in the measure, you go, hey, how do you do that? It's going to work. So it's bum, 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 bum. There's your 4 beats, 4 notes, you're done. Let's turn the page. I told you this is going to be simple, Simon. Oh, look at the bottom one. I found the weirdest thing I could find. Okay, look at that later. I can't even do that one. I have no clue how that thing goes. Let's look at some more examples. In 3/4 time, there's going to be 3 beats per measure, and the quarter note, because of the 4 on the bottom, gets 1 beat. 2/4 time, look up, 2/4 time. How many beats per measure?
2 beats.
2/4. Top number is beats per measure, 2. Bottom number is a 4, so that means the quarter note gets 1 beat. 2 beats per measure, quarter note gets 1 beat. Look up, 3/2 time. 3 beats per measure, half note gets 1 beat. Look up, 6/8 time. That's a common one, 6/8 time. We have it in our hymnals. So, this is a harder one. 6 beats per measure. It's dun 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 dun. That's kind of how it goes. And an 8th note gets 1 beat. So you got lots of 8th notes in 6/8 time, and very few whole notes. All right. In 2/2 time, there will be 2 beats per measure, and the half note gets 1 beat. Now, you got to go on with this. Oh, I didn't do this on these others. I'm sorry. So let's go back up to 6/8 time. So the 8th note gets 1 beat, but when you see a quarter note, it gets, this is where it gets tricky. So if an 8th note gets 1 beat, a quarter note is going to get 2 beats. Why? Because a quarter note is twice as long as an 8th note. You just know that. So this is where you got to transpose in your mind, and it gets hard. That is hard. I only do that when I don't know the song. When I know the song, I don't bother with that. I go, boom, beep, beep, boom. I just know how the song goes, so it's easy. In 12/8 time, a little bit further down, there was going to be 12 beats per measure. The 8th note gets 1 beat, and thus the half note. So if an 8th note gets 1 beat, the half note's going to get 4. And how do you know that? 4 beats? Why? Because you're doubling it. If an 8th note gets 1 beat, because an 8th note usually gets a half a beat. So if it gets 1 beat, you're doubling it. So a quarter note's going to get 2 beats, and a half note's going to get 4 beats, and a whole note's going to get 8 beats. Yeah, it's like I'm looking at everybody. Brother Caleb in 6/4 time. How many beats per measure?
6.
And what note's going to be 1 beat? Quarter note. Thank you, son, for sitting here. In 9/8 time, 9 beats per measure, 8th note gets 1 beat. Well, anyways, if that don't make sense to you, or you're a little rusty on that, review it. It's simply this: the top number is beats per measure. The bottom number is, you kind of look at it as a fraction, and what that represents, either 2 as a half note, 4 as a quarter note, or 8 as an 8th note. Gets 1 beat. For testing purposes, be able to correctly interpret the beats per measure and note duration values for any of the above simple time changes. So I say 3/8 time, 3/8 time. How many beats per measure, and what note is equal to 1 beat? That's all to go, and you'll have to choose the right one. Here are some examples of how you might see it written in a song. See those there? That took me a while to get those. That was not an easy job to find it printed where you could take it, because PDF, you can't take it out of a PDF.
Right, you can't.
I had to get a Word text document with these in it. Anyways, I found one. So it goes, forget the stuff on top. 3/4 time. See that one?
Yeah.
3 beats per measure,
Yeah.
and the quarter note gets 1 beat. Very common, you see this is dun, 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 if they kept going, which it does. Okay, now let's go to the next one, 6/8. What do we know here, Caleb? Well, 6 beats per measure. There's only 2 notes in that measure there. That's a measure. Okay? There's only 2 notes. How can that be? Well, the 8th note gets 1 beat. And you've got a dotted quarter note, which is 3 times as long as an 8th note. So it's 3 beats here. 6/8 is da, 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 da. Next one, 2/4 time. Okay, 2/4 time. You got 2 beats per measure. What gets 1 beat? Quarter note.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. 12/8 time. Oh, that's freaky. You can't do 12/8 time. Yeah, you can. 12 beats per measure.
Oh.
8th note gets 1 beat. So if an 8th note gets 1 beat, a quarter note gets 2 beats, a dotted quarter note gets 3 beats. This is easy. It's just like double 6/8. 12/8 is double 6/8. It's going to be the same type of thing. Da, 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 da. Look at this thing on the bottom. Mixed metered songs, which we'll never do, is
This jazz written down.
yeah, forget that's for your music artists. Okay, and then there's 11/4 time, 7/4 time, 10/4 time, 11/8 time, and 5/4 time, which I've never run across. Thank you. Have a break.